he was about to sprout fangs or spit poison, tired of all the muttering, pointing and hissing as he passed. Fred and George, however, found this all very funny. They went out of their way to march ahead of Harry down the corridors, shouting, "Make way for the High of Slytherin! Seriously, evil wizard coming through." Percy was deeply disapproving of this behaviour. "It is not a laughing matter," he said coldly. "Oh yeah, get out of the way, Percy," said Fred. "Harry in a hurry." "Yeah, he's snipping off the chamber secrets for a cup of tea of his found servant," said George, chortling. Ginny didn't find it amusing either. "Oh, don't," she wailed. Every time Fred asked Harry loudly who he was planning to attack next. Or George pretended to ward Harry off with a clove of garlic when they met. Harry didn't mind. It made him feel better that Fred and George at least thought the idea of being Slytherin's high very ludicrous, but their antics seemed to be aggravating. Draco Malfoy, who looked increasingly sour each time he saw them at it. "It's because he's bursting to say it's really him," said Ron knowingly. "You know how he hates anyone beating him at anything, and you're getting all the credit for all his dirty work." "Not for long," said Hermione in a satisfied tone. "The Polyjuice's potion's nearly ready. We've better get the truth out of him any day now." And at last the term ended, and a silence as the snow on the ground descended on the castle. Harry found it rather peaceful rather than gloomy. He and the Weasleys had one of the Gryffindor Tower, which meant they could play exploding snaps so loudly without bothering anyone, and practice dueling in private. Fred, George and Ginny had chosen to stay at school rather than visit Bill in Egypt with Mr. and Mrs. Weasley. Percy, who disapproved of what he termed their childish behaviour, didn't spend much time in the Gryffindor common room. He already told them pompously that he was only staying over Christmas because it was his duty as a prefect to support the teachers during this troubled time. Christmas morning dawned, cold and white. Harry and Ron, the only ones left in their dormitory, was very woken by Hermione, who burst in, fully dressed and carrying presents for them both. "Wake up," she said loudly, pulling back the curtains up the window. "Hermione, you're not supposed to be in here," said Ron, shielding his eyes against the light. "Merry Christmas to you," said Hermione, throwing him his present. "I've been up for nearly an hour, adding more lace wings to the potion." "It's ready." Harry sat up, suddenly wide awake. "Are you sure?" "Positive," said Hermione, shifting Scabbers the rat so that he could sit down on the end of his full poster. "If we're going to do it, I should say it should be tonight." At that moment, moment, Hedwig swooped down into the room, carrying a very small package in her beak. "Hello," said Harry happily as she landed on his bed. "Are you speaking to me again?" She nibbled his ear in an affectionate sort of way, which was a far better present than the one which she had bought him, which turned out to be from the Dursleys. They had sent Harry a toothpick and a note telling him to find out whether he'd be able to stay at Hogwarts for the summer holidays too. The rest of Harry's Christmas presents were far more satisfactory. Harry had sent him a large tin of treacle fudge, which Harry decided to soften by the fire before eating. Ron had given him a book called Flying with Cannons, a book of interesting facts about his favourite Quidditch team. And Hermione had brought him a luxury eagle feather quill. Harry opened the last present to find a new hand-knitted jumper from Mrs. Weasley and a large plum cake. He put up her card and with a fresh surge of guilt, thinking about Mr. Weasley's car, which hadn't been seen since its crash with the Whooping Willow and the bout of rule breaking he and Ron were planning next. No one, not even someone dreading to take Polyjuice potion later, could fail to enjoy Christmas dinner at Hogwarts. The Great Hall looked magnificent. Not only there were a dozen frost-covered Christmas trees and thick streamers of holly and mistletoe crisscrossing the ceilings, but enchanted snow was falling warm and dry from the ceiling. Dumbledore let them in a few of his favourite carols, Hagrid booming more and more loudly with every goblet of eggnog consumed. Percy, who had noticed that Fred had bewitched his prefect badge, so that it now read Pinhead, kept asking them all what they were sniggering at. Harry didn't care, even that Draco Malfoy was making loud, snide remarks about his jumper from the Slytherin table. With a few bits of luck, Malfoy would be able to get his comeuppance in a few hours' time. Harry, Ron and Hermione had barely finished their third helpings of Christmas pudding when Hermione ushered them out of the hall to finalise their plan for the evening. "We still need a bit of the people you're changing into," said Hermione matter-of-factly, as though she was sending them to the supermarket for washing powder. "And obviously, it'll be best if you can get something of Crabbe and Goyle's, because they're Malfoy's best friends. He'd tell them anything. And we also need to make sure that the real Crabbe and Goyle can't burst in on us while we're interrogating him. I've got it all worked out," she said. She went on smoothly, ignoring Harry and Ron's stupefied faces. She held up 2 plump chocolate cakes. I filled these with a simple sleeping draught All you need to do to make sure is that Crab and Goyle find them. You know how greedy they are. They're bound to eat them. Once they're asleep, pull out a little few of the hairs and tie them inside a broom cupboard. Harry and Ron looked incredulously at each other. Mind, I don't think that could go seriously wrong. But Hermione had a steely glint in her eye, not unlike the one Professor McGonagall sometimes had. The potion would be useless without Crabby and Goyle's hair, she said sternly. You do want to investigate, Malfoy, don't you? Oh, all right, said Harry. But what about you? Whose hair are you ripping out? I've already got mine, said Hermione brightly, pulling a tiny bottle out of her pocket and showing them the single hair inside it. Remember Millicent Bulstrode wrestling with me at the dueling club? She left this on my robes when she was trying to strangle me. And she's gone home for Christmas. So I just have to tell the Slytherin I've decided to come back. When Hermione had bustled off to check on the polyjuice potion again, Ron turned to Harry with a doom-laden expression. Have you ever heard of a plan where so many things could go wrong? But to Harry's and Ron's utter amazement, stage 1 of the operation went just as smoothly as Hermione had said. They lurked in the deserted entrance hall after Christmas tea, waiting for Crabbe and Goyle. They had remained alert as Slytherin tea was shoving down 4th helpings of trifle. Harry had perched the chocolate cakes on the end of the banisters when they spotted Crabbe and Goyle coming out of the great hall. Harry and Ron hid quickly behind a suit of armour next to the front door. How thin can you get? Ron whispered ecstatically, as Crabbe gleefully pointed out the cakes to Goyle and Grabby and grabbed them. Grinning stupidly, they stuffed the cakes whole into their large mouths. For a moment, both of them chewed greedily, looks of triumph on their faces. But then, without the smallest change of expression, they both keeled over backwards onto the floor. Much the difficult bit was hiding them in the cupboard across the hall. Once they were safely stowed amongst the buckets and mops, Harry yanked out a couple of the bristles that covered Goyle's forehead, and Ron pulled out several of Crabbe's hairs. They also stole their shoes because their own were far too small for Crabbe and Goyle-sized feet. Then, still stunned at what they had just done, they sprinted up to Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. They could hardly see for the thick black smoke issuing from the cubicle in which Hermione was stirring the cauldron. Pulling their robes up over their faces, Harry and Ron knocked softly on the door. Hermione, they heard the scrape of the lock, and Hermione emerged, shiny-faced and looking anxious. Behind her, they heard the gloop of the bubbling treacle-thick potion. 3 glass tumblers stood ready on the toilet seat. Did you get them? Asked Hermione breathlessly. Harry showed her Goyle's hair. Good. And there's neatly spare robes out of the laundry. Hermione said, holding up a sack. You'll need bigger sizes once you're crabbing, Goyle. The three of them stared into the cauldron. Close up, the potion looked like thick dark mud, bubbling sluggishly. I'm sure I've done everything right, said Hermione nervously, rereading the splotched pages of motion tea, potions. It looked like the book says it should. Once we've drunk it, we'll have exactly an hour before we change back into ourselves. Now what? Ron whispered. We separate it into 3 glasses and add the hairs. Hermione added large dollops of the potion into each of the glasses. Then, her hand trembling, she shook Millicent Bulstrade's hair out of its bottle into the first glass. The potion hissed loudly like a bottle kettle and frothed madly. A second later, it had turned a sick thought of yellow. Ugh! A sense of Millicent Bulstrade, said Ron, eyeing it with loathing. Bet it tastes disgusting. Add yours then, said Hermione. Harry dropped Goyle's hair into the middle of the glass, and Ron put Crabby's into the last one. Both glasses hissed and frothed. Goyle's turned the khaki colour of a bogey. Crabby's a dark murky brown. Hang on, said Harry as Ron and Hermione reached for the glasses. We'd better not all drink them in here. Once we turn into Crabby and Goyle, we won't fit. And Millicent Bulstrade's no pixie. Good thinking, said Ron, unlocking the door. We'll take separate cubicles. Careful not to spill a drop of his polyjuice potion. Harry slipped into that middle cubicle. Ready, he called. Ready, came Ron and Hermione's voices. 1, 2, 3. Pinching his nose, Harry drank the potion down in 2 large gulps. It tasted like overcooked cabbage. Immediately, his insides started writhing as though he just swallowed live snakes. Doubled up, he wondered whether he was going to be sick. Then a burning sensation spread rapidly from his stomach to the very ends of his fingers and toes. Next, bringing him gasping to all fours, came a horrible melting feeling, and the skin all over his body bubbled like hot wax. And before his eyes, his hands began to grow, the fingers thickened, the nails broadened, and the knuckles were bulging like bolts. His shoulders stretched painfully, and a prickling on his forehead told him that hair was creeping down his eyebrows. His robes ripped at his chest, expanded like a barrel bursting in its hoops. His feet were agony in shoes 4 sizes too small. As Sonia had started, everything stopped. Hermione lay Harry lay face down on the cold stone floor, listening to Myrtle gurgling in the toilet. With difficulty, he kicked off his shoes and standed up. This was what it felt like being Goyle. His large hands trembling, he pulled off his old robes, which were hanging a foot above his ankles, pulled on the spare ones and laced up Goyle's boat-like shoes. He reached up to brush his hair out of his eyes and met only the short growth of wiry bristles along his forehead. Then he realized that his glasses were clouding his eyes because Goyle didn't obviously need them. He took them off and called, "Are you two okay, Georges?" "Yeah," came the "Are you two okay?" Goyle's last low rasp of the voice issued from his mouth. "Yeah," came the deep grunt of Krabby's. "Right." Ron's door opened. They stared at each other. Except that he looked pale and shocked. Ron was indistinguishable from a crab. From the pudding basin haircut to the long gorilla arms. "This is unbelievable," said Ron, approaching the mirror and prodding Krabby's flat nose. "Unbelievable." "We'd better get going," said Harry, loosening the watch that was cutting into Goyle's thick wrist. "We've still got to find out where the Slytherin common room is, and I only hope we can find someone to follow." Ron, who had been gazing at Harry, said, "You don't know how bizarre it is to see Goyle thinking." Banged on Hermione's door. "Come on, we need to go." A high-pitched voice answered him. I don't think I'm going to come after all. You go on without me." "We know Millicent's bullshit's ugly. No one's going to know it's you." "No, really, I don't think I'll come." "You two, hurry up. You're wasting time." Harry looked at Ron, bewildered. "That looks more like Goyle," said Ron. "That's how he looks every time a teacher asks him a question." "Hermione, are you okay?" said Harry through the door. "Fine, I'm fine. Go on." Harry looked at his watch. 5 of their precious 60 minutes had already passed. "We'll meet you back here, all right?" he said. Harry and Ron opened the door of the bathroom carefully, checking that the coast was clear and set off. Don't swing your arms like that," Harry muttered to Ron. "Eh? Krabby holds them sort of stiff. How's this? Yeah, that's better." All they needed was now a Slytherin whom they could follow to the Slytherin common room, but there was nobody around. "Any ideas?" muttered Harry. "The Slytherins always come up to breakfast from out over there," said Ron, nodding at the entrance to the dungeons. The words had barely left his mouth when a girl with long curly hair emerged from the entrance. "Excuse me," said Ron, hurrying up to her. "We've forgotten the way to our common room." "I beg your pardon," said the girl stiffly. "Our common room? I'm a Ravenclaw." She walked away, looking suspiciously back at them. Harry and Ron hurried down the stone steps into the darkness, their footsteps echoing particularly loudly, and Caribbean warriors' huge feet hit this floor, feeling that this wasn't going to be easy as they hoped. The labyrinthine passages were deserted. They walked deeper and deeper under the school, constantly checking their watches to see how much time they had left. After a quarter of an hour, said one. There's one of them now. The figure was emerging from the side of the room. As they hurried nearer, though, however, their hearts sank. It wasn't a Slytherin, it was Percy. That, he said stiffly, is none of your business. It's crabby, isn't it? Well, yeah, said Ron. Well, get off to your dormitories, said Percy sternly. It's not safe to you go wandering around dark corridors these days. You are, Ron pointed out. I, said Percy, drawing himself up. I'm a prefect. Nothing's about to attack me. A voice suddenly echoed behind Harry and Ron. Hey, Draco Malfoy was strolling towards them, and for the first time in his life, Harry was pleased to see him. There you are, he drawled, looking at them. Have you two been peeing out in the Great Hall all this time? I've really been looking for you. I want to show you something really funny. Malfoy glanced witheringly at Percy. And what are you doing here, Weasley? He sneered. Percy looked outraged. You want to show a little bit more respect to a school prefect, he said. I don't like your attitude. Malfoy sneered and motioned Harry and Ron to follow him. Harry almost said something apologetic to Percy, but caught himself just in time. He and Ron hurried after Percy and Malfoy. He said as they turned the next passage. That's Peter Weasley. Percy, Ron corrected him automatically. Whatever's, said Malfoy. I've noticed him sneaking around a lot lately. And I bet I know where he's up to. He thinks he's going to catch the Slytherin higher single-handed. He gave a short, derisive looks. Harry and Ron exchanged excited looks. Malfoy paused by a stretch of bare, damp stone wall. What's the password again? He said to Harry. Said Harry. Oh yeah, pure blood, said Malfoy, not listening, and the stone door concealed in the wall slid open. Malfoy marched through it, and Harry and Ron followed it. The Slytherin common room was a long, low, underground room with rough stone walls and ceiling, from which Round greenish lamps were hanging on chains. A fire was crackling under a elaborately carved mantelpiece ahead of them, and several Slytherins were silhouetted around in it in carved chairs. "Wait here," said Malfoy to Harry and Ron, motioning them to a pair of empty seats set back from the fire. "I'll go and get it. My father's just sent it to me." Wondering what Malfoy he thrust it under Ron's nose. "That'll give you a laugh," he said. Harry saw Ron's eyes widen in shock. He read the cutting quickly. Gave a very forced laugh and handing it to Harry. It was clipped from the Daily Prophet and it said, "Inquiry at the Ministry of Magic. Arthur Weasley, head of the Ministry of Magical Muggle Artifacts Office, was today fined 50 galleons for bewitching a Muggle car." Mr. Lucius Malfoy, a governor of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where the enchanted car crashed earlier this year, called today for Mr. Weasley's resignation. "Weasley has brought the ministry into disrepute," Mr. Malfoy told our reporter. "He is clearly unfit to draw up our laws, and his ridiculous Muggle Protection Act should be scrapped immediately." Mr. Weasley was unavailable for comment, although his wife told the reporters to clear off or she'd set the family guard on them. "Well," said Malfoy "You never know the Weasleys were pureblood, the way they behave. Once, or rather, Crabbe's face was contorted with fury. "What's up with you, Crabbe?" snapped Malfoy. "Studying!" Ron grunted. "Well, go up to the hospital and give all those mad lads a kick for me," said Malfoy, snickering. "You know, I'm surprised the Daily Prophet hasn't reported all these attacks yet." He went on thoughtfully. "I suppose Dumbledore's trying to hush it all up. He'll be sacked if it doesn't stop soon." "Father's always said Dumbledore's the worst thing that's ever happened to this place. He loves Muggle-borns. A decent headmaster would never let slime like Trevian." Malfoy started taking pictures with an imaginary camera and did a cruel but accurate impression of Colin. "Potter, can I have your picture? Potter, can I have your autograph? Can I lick your shoes, please, Potter?" He dropped his hand and looked at Harry and Ron. What's the matter with you two? Far too late. Harry and Ron forced himself to laugh, but Malfoy seemed satisfied. Perhaps Crabbe and Goyle were always slow on the uptake. St. Potter, the mudblood's friend, said Malfoy slowly. He's another one with no proper wizard feeling, or he wouldn't go around with that jumped Granger mudblood. And people think he's the Slytherin's hire. I wish I knew who it was, said Malfoy petulantly. I could help them. One straw dropped so that Crabbe's face looked even more gormless than usual. Fortunately, Malfoy didn't notice, and Harry, thinking fast, said, "You must have idea who's behind it all." "You know I haven't, Goyle. How many times do I have to tell you?" snapped Malfoy. "And Father won't tell me anything about the last time the chamber was opened either. Of course, it was 50 years ago." "You know I haven't, Goyle. But he knows all about it. He says it'll all be quiet, and it looks suspicious if I know too much about it. But I know one thing. So, I bet it's only a matter of time before one of them's killed this time. I hope it's Granger," he said realish. Ron was clenching Crabbe's giant fists, feeling that it would be a bit of a giveaway if Ron punched Malfoy. Harry shot him a warning look and said, "Do you know if the person who opened the chamber of secrets last time was expelled? Was caught? Oh yeah, whoever it was probably in Azkaban." "Azkaban," said Harry. "The wizard prison." Harry and Goyle said Harry, looking at him in disbelief. "Honestly, if you were any slower, you'd be going backwards." He shifted restlessly in his chair and said, "Father says to keep my head down and let the higher of Slytherin get on with it. He says a school needs riding up for the mudblood filth, but not to get mentioned up in it. Of course, he's got a lot on his plate at the moment. You know the Ministry of Magic raided our manor last week." "Yeah," said Malfoy. "Luckily they didn't find mine. Father's got some very valuable dark art stuffs, but luckily we've got our secret chamber under the drawing room floor." "Ho," said Ron. So did Harry. Ron blushed. Even his hair was turning red. "Sounds a story. Medicine for my stomach," Ron grunted. Without further ado, they sprinted the length of the Slytherin common room, hid themselves at the storeroom, and dashed up the passage, hoping that Malfoy hadn't noticed anything. Well, it wasn't a complete waste of time. I know we still haven't found out who's doing the attacks, but I'm going to write to Dad somewhere and tell him to check under the Malfoy's drawing room. Harry checked his face in the cracked mirror. He was back to normal. He put his glasses on as Ron Hermione's cubicle. Hermione, come out. Go away, Hermione squeaked. What's the matter, said Ron. You must be back to normal by now. We are... But moaning Myrtle glided silently through the cubicle door. Harry had never seen her looking so happy. Oh, you wait till you see, she said. It's awful. They heard her sobbing. Her robes pulled up over her hands. What's up? Said Ron uncertainly. Have you still got Millicent's nose or something? Hermione let her robes fall and run back into the sink. Her face was covered in black fur. Her eyes had gone yellow and there's long pointed ears poking through her hair. It was a cat's hair. It was a cat hair, she howled. Millicent bullshit. Must have a cat. And the potion isn't supposed to be used for animal transformations. Uh-oh, said Ron. You'll be teased something dreadful, said Myrtle happily. It's okay, Hermione, said Harry quickly. We'll take you up to the hospital wing. Madame Pomfrey never asked too many questions. It took a long time to persuade Hermione to leave the bathroom. Moaning Myrtle sped them on their way with a hearty guffaw. Wait till everyone finds out you've got a tail. The end of chapter 12. Bye-bye.